Hi there, Ramon from Memories, and today we have,
Alma, Valencia.
hi Alma, and how long have you been a caregiver?
I have been my mom's official caregiver for the past 6 years.
6 years. And
hmm
what was that early experience like for you when you first found out about the diagnosis?
So, my mom has always had like a quirky personality. She's always done things that have never quite been right. And now just having the time to go back and really research her history and our history and like things that we did with our childhood or things that she used to do in our childhood, we realized that even though she got the official diagnosis 6 years ago, my mom has been dealing with these issues for a long time, and we just didn't recognize them. And so now that we're really, really in tune with what dementia is, we are able to. I see them in other friends and family members, um, but Um, when this whole experience started, we noticed it happening when she was living at home by herself. She wasn't following up on her like just her basic executive functioning skills, like her bills, her paying her bills on time, taking medications. Her health was a mess. Um, so then we decided to step in and help her with her finances. But unfortunately, by the time we found out, it was all too late. She lost her house. She had a beautiful craftsman home in Eagle Rock, California, and we had to let it go. We had to let it go to take care of her finances and just bring her in to live with us.
For sure.
So,
And
mhm.
that sounds like a very big change to undergo for any family. So, what was that experience like for you emotionally at that time?
Oh, it was definitely life changing. It personally, me being the oldest, I just have my sister. It's just my sister and I. Um, and I have my family. I have my husband, and my son, and my little girl. My son is 21, and my little girl is 10. And you know, just having to take on another responsibility and having to take off time from work. I was in the fashion industry, so it's a very demanding industry. So taking days off was really, even taking days off for a vacation was like unheard of. So taking like 3 months out of the year to take care of my mom was like, luckily I was working for a company that was very supportive, but it was very, very stressful. It was very, very stressful. So I just, that's what it's been for the past 3 years. I mean, 5 years, well, 6 years. I've had to take 3 months, like like I would say twice a year, to take care of my mom, just to be able to catch up with any medical medical appointments that she would have, or just trying to find like adult daycare centers, because just the programs that are available, it just, you have to do a lot of paperwork and stuff, so it just takes time.
For sure.
So yeah.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing that.
hmm
That is, and I guess that incredibly difficult to go through, especially being in a very demanding industry, balancing a family life on top of being a caregiver. That's a lot to
hmm
juggle, and I have a lot of respect for you for even being able to get through that time. Um,
yeah.
I guess my next question to you would be, what advice would you have for someone who is maybe struggling to balance like a job and being a caregiver, and what are some strategies you use to kind of find that balance?
Well, the biggest The biggest aha moment that I had was that I can't do this alone. Even though I have my husband and my children, I really had to like build a huge network and community for me in order for this to work. And I'm the type that I'm like, I can do this by myself. I don't need any help. Um, I am woman, hear me roar. But it was killing me. It was. I developed a lot of medical issues myself. I developed a lot of anxiety and worry and sleepless nights, and my back started hurting. I had like nerve ending issues. Like it was a mess. And then I just like realized I'm like, I can't do this by myself. So I just opened myself up to social media, um, and really like looked at all the possible resources that I could find here in LA, in my little town of South Pasadena, and that's been I've been in survival mode with that. So that's what I would recommend to anybody. Like, build your tribe, build your support. Just open up yourself to anybody that wants to help, anybody that's willing to help. You can't do this by yourself. Because this is a disease that it's not, there is no end date, so it just, and the more that we care for them, the more that we take care of them, and are very involved, they can live a long time. So you need that extra support, to mentally and physically, for yourself. So, but there are, and I have, in the past year, that I have seen some more programs available, but it's taking a while. It's definitely taken a while to just really go out there and look for it.
Again, thank you for sharing that. I think it's so lovely that you touched on support, and I think that's something that we hear pretty commonly in some of these caregiver spotlights, is that, at first, because this is someone you care about, this is someone who raised you, someone who's had a really profound impact on your life, you feel obliged. I'm going to devote every single second, every single day to caring for this person. I'm going to do no matter what it takes. And while that's very noble, it's not realistic. And I think having a support group, whether that be socially, whether that be through resources, whether that be family and friends, is so key, because as you pointed out, your health as a caregiver is just as important as the health of the loved one that you're taking care of. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'd love to chat with you a bit about how you have grown as a result of this experience, and the difficulties you've had to face and the obstacles you've had to overcome. How do you think you as a person have developed and furthered and become better?
How have I grown? I have recognized that anything is possible. Anything is possible, as scary as it is, and just, trying to see into the future and trying to forecast and trying to plan. You realize that anything is possible. I mean, this year, even with COVID, there are silver linings. I'm a silver lining chaser. I have to look at the silver linings and try to find solutions. This is a solution-driven disease. So I have just recognized, and I have grown in recognizing those silver linings. I'm like, okay, okay, this didn't work, but we could try this other thing. And it's just constantly, finding solutions. And that's how I have grown, and just not worrying about, just try not to be so hard on myself, because it's just, it doesn't help. It doesn't help to be, just be my own cheerleader and just keep going. And And I have been hard on myself in the past, which I think also helped with me getting sick and like stressing out and like, again, with the sleepless nights. So I have grown to just kind of let things go a little bit. And if it didn't work, okay, we're going to try again tomorrow and just keep going. So
again, I think that's the thing a lot of caregivers touch on, is this really harsh self-criticism of what they're doing as a caregiver and how they could be doing more. I think it's super important that you recognize that you're doing the best you can with the resources you have available, and you being incredibly critical of yourself is not furthering your ability to be a caregiver. So I love this this idea of giving yourself a break and trying to see the silver lining and being a bit more optimistic. So thank you again for sharing that. And I know a lot of caregivers watching may be struggling with seeing the silver lining, or not being so hard on yourself, or letting the little things go. So what are some strategies you've developed over the past few years to kind of hone that skill and grow as a result of it?
well, I've kind of honed in on the skill, but I'm still working on it. It's a work in progress. Let's see. My ultimate go-to thing lately, and especially since we're at home and we're kind of limited to what we can do, music. My go-to thing is music. Just any type of music. Recently, my mom has been enjoying Black is King.
Hey,
Beyonce.
yes.
So, and I try to just also teach my kids on like different music that my mom grew up with. So it's been a learning experience for all of us. But yeah, that music for me has been a lifesaver. It just changes the mood and just redirects. So if anything, yes, that definitely has been my go-to. And just trying to plan to get out, even if it is just to go to the market, just to have a quick break just for yourself, 30 minutes, or escape into the bathroom or something. Just have a quick escape daily is key, so.
Lovely. I think music has a really powerful way to almost remove you from the situation you're in and remove you from the emotions you're experiencing. And I think it can be a powerful tool to anyone who's looking to de-stress, unwind, take a break, which is such an important aspect of being a caregiver. You mentioned that you're the mother to a son who's 21 and a daughter who is 10. Those are two very distinct ages, but both that require a lot of support in different ways, on top of being supportive to your mother. So how have you been able to manage being a mother as well as being a caregiver? And what advice do you have to any caregiver mothers who may be struggling to find that balance?
Well, I've been a little selfish. I actually I thank God I have my son with us here, living with us. So I do depend on him a little bit more, like to run errands and stuff, which is very helpful. But I have to recognize that he is, his own individual. So I make sure that he goes out with his friends and he has a moment to de-stress. So I separate everybody and I try to make sure that everybody gets what they need. And we're actually in the process of finding my son. We're looking for a job for him. So, cause he's not going to school right now because of COVID. So, I just really focus. I just try to give everybody their own space, and their own time, and making sure that they're all growing. And it's not, I try not to allow dementia to consume us. We're still growing, we're still moving on. It's just part of us, but it isn't us. So, And same with my little girl. My little girl's starting classes today. So I try to make just special moments for each one of them, and including my husband. You know, he's so supportive. There are unsung husbands are unsung heroes. They provide so much support, you know, luckily financially. So he is able to go to work and get away from the situation, but we just I just try to be as open-minded, and as I offer, you know, little escapes for all of them. Play dates for my little girl, and play dates for my son too. I'm like, go get some coffee with friends or whatever, go for a run, just get away, you know, because like I said, we don't want dementia to be all consuming, because it can definitely consume you. It there are days that my mom, you know, there are days that we just cannot champion through it, and it just, you know, we have our bad days that we just allow it to just consume us, and we're like, okay, that's not going to happen anymore. We got to get around it. We got to be like bunnies, get around it, you know, burrow underneath, like just try to come up with solutions. Yeah. So
that is amazing. Thank you. I honestly, and I think it's such simple advice, but it's such powerful advice. And I love this idea of dementia being very consuming, especially for a caregiving family, and allowing everyone to have their individual space, their individual goals, their individual breaks and time for themselves can be a really simple gesture, but it can make all the difference in their lives, and as well as their caregiving experience to your mother as well. So I think it's amazing that you're able to manage all that, but still maintain those really important boundaries for everyone, so they don't feel that feeling of consumption that you talked about. So, and I think a lot of families who are struggling with being a caregiver for a loved one and who are watching this are really going to benefit from that advice. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'd love to ask you about your journey on social media. You run Dementia Diaries, and I think that is so. I think that's such a powerful tool to kind of share and discuss on that platform. So, would you maybe want to tell us a bit about how you got involved in that and how that's kind of shaped your caregiving experience?
I'm sorry, Dementia Diaries?
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Okay, we're definitely editing that out. Would you just want to tell us a bit about your social media experience? I'm so sorry about that.
No worries. I was like, okay, just want to make sure. Well, I just, like anybody jumping into this disease, or just starting with trying to find resources. I started my mom's page. Mom has dementia, and again, trying to share experiences. And initially, I wanted to show the dark side of dementia, but then it just became so negative. So I try to highlight, you know, just solutions, you know, of what we can do for dementia, or any resources. And for, you know, there are times that I do show the dark side of it, because it's not all like, you know, happy moments, and it really, like, let's see, for example, showers with my mom, those become very, very, very dark moments very quickly. So I don't know how to show that on social media, so I just talk about it. But I don't know, I'm also kind of just playing around with social media and trying to get more followers, and just more ideas from other people. You know, I also just am constantly seeing what other people have, what other ideas other people have to offer. So I'm just in the process of just growing it, but I have fun with it. Social media, it is my escape. It is my escape. And I do love seeing champion moments when other people, have some successes. And I do enjoy seeing other families that I'm not alone in this, and there are other families dealing with the situation. So yeah, long story short, that's how I'm dealing with social media and how I'm growing it.
And I think social media, it can be a super powerful tool, not only as an escape, but as a way to connect with other caregivers and not feel so isolated in your caregiving experience. So,
yeah,
huge recommendation to anyone who's thinking about, any caregiver who's thinking about getting on social media. There's a huge community out there that's really willing to support you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I think my last question to you would be, what's the number one piece of advice you would give to someone who's recently become a caregiver?
Let's see. Look at whatever resources are available in your area, if anything, as reaching out for any type of support. Immediately look for support. That would be my number one. And then let's see. And sorry, can we? There are so many ideas. Well, not just the help, but if you're just starting, just like right at the, like, you just recognize that your mom or your parent has dementia and that something's not right, immediately look into their finances, look into their medical, like anything that any medication that they're taking, so you can stop it like right there, like if that you can like catch anything immediately. And that's like the first thing that you have to do, and get as much involved into their medical needs. And then if you have your parent moving in with you, or that you're having to take care of them more often, then yes, get as many people to help, friends and family to come and help support. But yeah, that's where I started. Yeah.
And I think that idea of being really proactive in the early stages can make a very big difference in your caregiving experience. So, and
Yeah.
Thank you for sitting down with us today, especially because it's so early where you are. We really, really appreciate chatting.
No, it's great, actually. I mean, now I have an early morning, so I'm going to have my me time. So taking full advantage of this before everybody starts. But yes, well, thank you for including me. I appreciate what you're trying to develop. The more we talk about it, the more it gets exposed. The more we really, really talk about dementia as it's not just Alzheimer's that people get when they're old. It's something that's definitely affecting the Gen X and Gen Z and our boomers. We really have to just continue to talk about it, especially me being Latina. Just a lot of people are like, oh, your mom's just getting older, it happens. I'm like, no, she's 60, 65. That shouldn't be happening. This should be maybe once they're a lot older, in their 80s and 90s. And yeah, when we prepare ourselves, there should be stages, but this shouldn't be happening so early on. So the more we talk about it, the more it's out there on social media, and doctors are talking about it as well. The more help we're going to get, and the more resources that are going to be available for us to deal with it. Mm-hmm.
And like you said, having these conversations, bringing it into the spotlight,
Yes.
that's the only way that's going to happen. And it's only through people like you who are actively sharing your story that are helping all of us get closer towards that goal of a better support system around the world for caregivers everywhere.
Yes.
And
For sure.
if anyone watching this wants to learn more about you and your family's journey, where can they find you?
On mom, sorry, mom has dementia. You know, I'm on Instagram, and yeah, starting off there, and hopefully, you know, I'll develop a blog or something. Who knows? Who knows? But I'm here to help. You know, reach out to me. Anything that I could possibly provide, I am more than willing to help anybody. You know, we're all in this together. You know, that we cannot, even just to vent. You know, just have anybody that's having a bad day. You know, it's great just to vent, let it out.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. So, mom has dementia for anyone watching who wants to get in touch with Alma and learn more about her journey. Thank you so much for chatting with us today. And be sure to tune in next week for our next Caregiver Spotlight.